long.
I guess we just started. Welcome, everybody.
This is the 18 Long Cantata. And Long Cantata is a vineyard situated in, of course, in the Pinot Bowl. And the unique thing about it is it's one of the few vineyards we source that are on these sloping mesas that face north. So it has a very kind of long growing season and not a lot of intense sun exposure, I think, right?
Exactly.
And the two clones that we deal with here are.
That was the we got the 115 and the 667 in here.
Yes. Okay. And
Sorry, it took me a moment. They were been racking all week, getting ready for bottling. Just have to remember what specific clones we got in there.
And the deal with Long Cantata is it's a very, that part of the AVA, I think for me is very magical. It's almost a little bit spooky when you're out there alone, because it's got this magical kind of air to it, and it always, well, of course, for me, I've always associated that with Richard Sanford because we've always had the same feeling, Richard and I, about the feeling you get when you go out there, and it's pretty nice.
And that's why they call it the Enchanted.
The Enchanted. And Riverbench always shows that it shows the terroir in a different way than Faciega does. It seems to express the above ground elements of the situation, whereas when we get to Faciega always has a tendency to show the underground elements of the situation, and I think that's the main differences in these two wines is above ground and below ground. And of course, you're going to have the vintage notes and different fruit and herbal elements in there all the time. But I think that's the main difference.
A lot of sage going on here.
Yeah, I always think of minted blackberries with the Long Cantata. Wow.
It's really generous.
Another thing about the 18 vintage is for us, production wise, especially for me and David, when you don't get any heat bombs, rain, wildfires during the vintage, and you get a nice mellow run of temperatures, it's a very comfortable way to make wine. And when we're comfortable on the crush pad and comfortable with our picking decisions, the wines appreciate that. And I think 18 and 19 were vintages like that.
Yeah, it's no fun rushing when you got all your fermenters full and you got a heat spike of 100 degrees and you got to pick everything. It's, as a winemaker, you go through things like that, and it is nice to have a harvest that you have the ability to just really be able to dial in the fruit out on the vine before it comes into the winery, which just makes us as winemakers, our job that much even easier when we can make the wine in the vineyard itself. So 18 allowed us to do that. You don't get that opportunity every time. Sometimes you have to pick early and you got to do what you do, but when you get the opportunity to be able to let it ride and get what you want out of it, it really is a blessing. We really like that.
Okay, Long Cantata, one of my favorite vineyards to be in. One of my favorite wines after probably 2 to 3 years in bottle. It's just what I consider hallmark Santa Rita cool side Pinot Noir. Okay, any questions out there? And we'll move on to the Faciega if not.
And how long has this wine been in bottle?
This is the 18, so it went into bottle in March of 2020. So 2 years, and it's perfect right now. Or it'll go,
At least another.
it'll go another
10.
6-8 years, easy, depending on how you like to drink it. I like mine on the young side. But then every once in a while, I'll open one that's 15 or 20 years old, and I go, wow,
Oh, freaks the
did
line
we
out.
make that?
So,
Yeah, okay. Faciega. This is if you go north from La Encantada and up about 300 to 500 feet, that's Faciega. And you can see from this picture here, we're in Faciega, but looking across to La Encantada. That's a great
that's a
shot.
wonderful photo.
Yeah, so you get the,
Get the real perspective of how close they really are to one another. Just
it's so
opposite,
different.
opposite sides of that river. Oh, completely different.
Yeah, so you see Faciega, south facing Mesa, Tierra Clay Loam, a little more wind-blown than La Encantada because of its elevation and exposure. It's a little more open to the ocean. And this was planted by Rick Longoria in 1998. And you can see the little Pinot Noir grenades there. Those are beautiful clusters. But we were talking about the difference between La Encantada and Faciega. Faciega just seems to be all the time this earthy kind of like
Clay.
compressed clay that you really have to think about it more than you do La Encantada. It takes a while to come out of shell.
Definitely got a lot more little earthy notes coming out of there too. And I
Yeah.
think that's, like you said, attributed from the soil, the terroir aspects. Let's see if we've got any questions about that. No, guess not.
This is actually a little more generous tonight than the La Encantada. I'm surprised. As far as elevage of these wines in the cellar, David,
16 months.
in
Yeah,
pretty
about-
much 36-month air dried staves.
Yeah, we do 36-month air dried staves. Typically about a third new oak on this, and a lot of those are coming from our trusted coopers, which would be the Francois Ferrer. We got Orion, probably got a little bit of some other cooperages in there too. We use, but mainly Francois Ferrer
Yeah,
and Orion. So it's really showing really nice right now.
getting a little bit of blood orange out of there. And some chamomile.
And so on this one as well, we do a little bit of whole cluster in there, and that just kind of really allows the terroir and a little bit of that earthiness to show in the wine too.
The little spice accent,
Just a little bit.
just
Little bam.
okay. As far as food matchups, with these Pinots, just, oh my God, poultry, like squab, quail, duck.
It's all sounding good right now.
It really is.
Smoked brisket in there. No, you could.
Oh, and especially with the Faciega, something smoked, brisket or ham, Easter ham. Pour this wine with Easter, with a nice ham and whatever you serve with it. Okay,
It's really nice. I really like that.
this again, Faciega, I would think would have a little more mileage as far as cellaring than the La Encantada, just because of the nature of the beast. The vineyard is now controlled by Adam Tolmec, but we're very much involved in all the decision-making for farming and harvest situations. And I'm really happy for Adam because it's a great it's just a great spot in the world and for Pinot Noir. And he was able to pick it up.
We're really lucky to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Too. That's lucky to be a part of that.
Hey guys, so Rick just asked a question. Which you guys have kind of already answered, but kind of moving forward, maybe you can answer him. It says, will you still get grapes from Longoria now that the winery or the vineyard has been sold? And the winery,
Will we get Faciega grapes?
correct?
Yes, we will. Adam is very happy to have us involved in the vineyard. And I hope that Rick Longoria in some capacity continues to make some Faciega Pinot Noir too.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, Petit Verdot, the little monster.
A little green monster.
So if you're not familiar with Petit Verdot, it's a Bordeaux varietal, and the name translates to little green because in Bordeaux, whatever side of the river you're on, the Dordogne, when you are starting to pick Merlot and Cabernet Franc and then Cabernet, the Petit Verdot, the berries are still a little bit green, and that's why I got its name, little green. Not only is it a late ripener in Bordeaux, but it's also characteristically very small berried and very productive.
Very, very productive. There's quite a lot of canopy work. You know, we find that our Petit Verdot, as far as the canopy is not very vigorous. However, when it throws fruit, every shoot has got 4 clusters per shoot. And so after set, we'll have to go in there and we always drop typically historically 50% of the fruit, always, just from the get-go. And it's just, it has a tendency just to overproduce, and we always got to try to keep it maintained. And you know, it's kind of easy for Petit Verdot because it is, you know, a little green monster, so it likes to kind of get out of hand. So
we could call it Gumby on steroids.
yeah, right. And you know, we ended up usually picking this Petit Verdot typically around the same time we pick our estate cab franc from the lower vineyard. And that being said, you know, we do have Petit Verdot that we do source from Happy Canyon that we put into our Pajarito that we get the bowls in.
Pajarito blend.
And, you know, Santa Ynez is typically warmer, obviously, than, you know, Santa Maria. And so we usually pick that Petit Verdot, I'd say about a week to 10 days, usually before the estate Petit Verdot.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and that's kind of, that's quite in line. So, you know, we start down in Happy Canyon, end up in Santa Maria, and always turns out to be a really nice wine. You know, there's always a lot of little tart blueberries. I always get hints of grape. I've always kind of coined Petit Verdot as having, you know, a little grape ache too. So it's just really juicy. It's always just really, you know, really juicy, really big. And I think that's kind of why when we get those flavors, especially that licorice, that we age this in America.
A lot of licorice. We do. Petit Verdot has a real affinity to American oak. It loves that kind of
Toasty cookie.
vanilla and toasted coconut.
So
And it just kind of mellows it out a little bit and makes it more exciting. And this is a wine kind of needs decanting at this point. It was just bottled in, 18 months ago.
yeah,
Is that
so
right?
it's
very young, and Petit Verdot, they're these little pea-sized berries, so they have a lot of tannin and a lot of extract, and we
super concentrated.
really good with gumbo.
And you
Yeah,
make Petit Verdot every year.
Mhm.
It's just this year you had enough of it
To make it a
to actually bottle it
Yeah.
and not put it
Not
all in a blend.
correct, yes. And so that's been, a labor of love out in the vineyard, trying to get the canopy to be as productive as we wanted to support the fruit. So we're finally getting, I think we almost got, it was like a little over 2.5 tons off that. So that's
just
enough to make a single,
it's kind of all the grapes that we grow on both the Tinnaquac Estate Alta and the the Laura Vineyard, where this comes from. This is the one I think we have the most love-hate relationship with.
Oh, absolutely. It's always. the
It's
funnest.
struggled from the get-go, whereas the Syrah and Cabernet Franc are very happy. And, but maybe it's good to keep Petit Verdot just a little unhappy.
A little
because,
stressed, you know?
Because it
It produces.
certainly, jambalaya would be another good one with this. And it's all over, I think in my notes, I said Stilton cheese because
You did.
they really, really go well together. A really strong blue cheese and this wine is it's really good. Maybe for a late course. Anyway, I think,
Do we have any questions? Does our
do we
audience
have any questions? Come on.
Winemaking questions.
Questions?
Any questions?
Let's
Uh,
see.
Technical questions.
I noticed David's got the Vintner's 5 Mile
Yeah, that's right.
tonight glass. That's like just a 100-yard dash for him. Being the
You
ultra
already
runner.
went over the harvest for this vintage, that it was a relaxed harvest,
It
right?
was.
Yeah,
really
we did
was.
that.
18 and.
And how about, well, 18 and 19 with that one, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. How did these wines differ from, say, the prior vintage of each of these wines?
I think 18 is a better vintage than 17, but 17
Cross?
was also great. I think the only difference between 17 and 18 is 17, we had that Labor Day
Yeah.
bomb of 115 degrees for 3 or 4 days. And 18, like I said, was comfortable, relaxing. And when things roll in at a nice even pace,
It really shows in the wines too, you know, when everything's comfortable from the get-go, it just,
you don't have to rush anything.
no, exactly.
How about any special cellar practices for any of these wines, like unique to these
I think
particular
the
wines?
most, I think we addressed that with the 18-month, 36 month and 48-month
Right.
age staves on the Pinots, because we do buy some 4-year yards.
And those are the Cadillacs and barrels.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the 4 years, so that's,
And if anybody could go on the Francois Ferrer website, you might be able to see David's drone shot of the wood yard
that they still talk about to
from,
this
when
day.
was it, 26?
2015.
20, oh,
We went over there in 2015, and back then, you know, I had my little drone and I brought it in my backpack, you know, and it wasn't, drones weren't as popular, I should say, as they are now. But anyways, I ended up filming the yard over at Francois at the cooperage, and they actually still use the photography that I use and the videos to actually map out where the staves are that they put for air drying for anywhere from 3 to 2, 3, or 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to, you know, every time we see Gregory or Max and they go, hey, we're still using that, you know, it's really cool to have that connection to the cooperage too. So definitely some of our trusted cooperages.
As far as the Petit Verdot, American oak,
Yeah.
about 25 to 30% new. Pennsylvania, 36-month air dried.
Oh, 22 months in barrel,
Yeah,
you know, we pump it over during harvest.
these are the only American oak barrels we use, and it's specifically for Petit Verdot. Just because we found it's like love.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on, Lily, up, there she is. All right. So
So maybe she could Zeke up there too.
we can try.
Okay.
Come on.
Hey,
okay.
come on. Let's
Come
say
here.
bye. Good.
Okay.
Okay, gang. If there's no other questions, we're gonna be out of here. We've got the Foxen wine dogs with us, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for
Really
coming.
enjoy these wines. It's a really, really good offering.
We have one question here
Oh.
from Greg here. It says, a rumor I heard, are you going to get sea smoke or toasted rope grapes again? Or can you talk?
Actually, Greg, we made toasted rope off the estate in 2019, and it's in bottle, and it's going to be in a Master and Commander offering. later this year.
From
And
this
it's really good.
really good. So stay tuned for
And
that.
no test, no season.
No,
Yeah, no.
not yet.
All right. Any other questions or?
Take care,
All
Greg.
right.
Okay, just a reminder to everyone that if you reorder any of these wines during this month, be sure to put in your discount code so that you can get that extra 5% off.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, and we look forward to seeing you in May for the next virtual tasting.
Everybody have a great weekend.
So Greg was on there.